and led into the porch and the one into the house. He wanted to keep out the cold, and he was frightened that they might escape. He couldn't believe that such beautiful creatures had turned up on his doorstep. "Sit down," he said. There was only the one easy chair, but two others which his uncle had made from driftwood stood by the table, and he pulled these out. "You'll take a drink with me to see in the new year." They giggled again and fluttered and landed on the chairs. They wore tinsel in their hair, and their clothes were made of fur and velvet and silk. The fair one had ankle boots of leather so shiny that it looked like wet tar, with silver buckles and little chains. The heels were high and the toes were pointed. Magnus had never seen footwear like it, and for a moment he couldn't take his eyes off them. The dark girl's shoes were red. He stood at the head of the table. "I don't know you, do I?" he said. Though looking at them more closely, he knew he'd seen them passing the house. He took care to speak more slowly so they would understand him. Sometimes he slurred his speech. The words sounded strange to him, like the raven's croaking. He'd taught the raven to speak a few words. Some weeks he had nobody else to talk to. He launched into another sentence. "Where are you from?" "We've been in Lerwick." The chairs were low, and the blonde girl had to tip back her head to look up at him. He could see her tongue and her pink throat. Her short silk top had become separated from the waistband of her skirt, and he saw a fold of flesh as silky as the material of her blouse, and her belly button. "Partying for Hogmanay. We got a lift to the end of the road. We were on our way home when we saw your light." "Shall we have a drink then?" he said eagerly. "Shall we?" He shot a look at the dark girl, who was staring at the room, moving her eyes slowly, taking it all in, but again, it was the fair one who replied. "We've brought our own," she said. She pulled a bottle from the woven shoulder bag she'd been clutching on her knee. It had a cork jammed in the top and was 3/4 full. He thought it would be white wine, but he didn't really know. He'd never tasted wine. She pulled the cork from the bottle with sharp white teeth. The action shocked him. When he realized what she intended doing, he wanted to shout at her to stop. He imagined the teeth snapped off at the roots. He should have offered to open it for her. That would have been the gentlemanly thing to do. Instead, he only watched, fascinated. The girl drank from the bottle, wiped the lip with her hand, then passed it on to her friend. He reached out for the whiskey. His hands were shaking, and he spilled a couple of drops onto the oilcloth when he poured himself a glass. He held out his glass, and the dark girl clinked the wine bottle against it. Her eyes were narrow, the lids were painted blue and grey, and were lined with black. "I'm Sally," the blonde girl said. She didn't have the dark one's capacity for silence. She'd be one for noise, he decided, chatter and music. "Sally Henry." "Henry," he repeated. The name was familiar, though he couldn't quite place it. He was out of touch. His thoughts had never been sharp, but now thinking took an effort. It was like seeing through a thick sea fog. He could make out shapes and vague ideas, but focus was difficult. "Where do you live?" "In the house at the end of the Vaugh," she said, "next to the school." "Your mother's the school teacher?" Now he could place her. The mother was a little woman. She'd come from one of the North Isles, Unst, Yell maybe, married a man from Bressie who worked for the council. Magnus had seen him driving around in a big 4x4. "Aye," she said, and sighed. "And you?" he said to the dark girl, who interested him more, who interested him so much that his eyes kept flickering back to her. "What do they call you?" "I'm Catherine Ross," she said, speaking for the first time. Her voice was deep for a young lassie, he thought, deep and smooth, a voice like black treacle. He forgot where he was for a moment, picturing his mother spooning treacle into the mixture for the ginger cakes she'd made.